Excellencies, colleagues, partners, good morning to all. Excellencies, our UN country team in Moldova modeled the resilience of the Republic of Moldova itself in adapting and responding to the external shocks of the past few years. An all-out war in Ukraine, influx of refugees, a consequent cost of living, and then an energy crisis, all potentially throwing Moldova off track its SDG progress, especially the overarching goal to reduce poverty. I'm proud to say that the UN country team adapted and responded effectively and flexibly. There are three main factors why this adaptation and response was possible. One, without doubt, is remarkable national drive and leadership. Despite all these challenges, the government of Moldova continued its progress on its national development strategy and with the SDGs anchored in it, driving our cooperation framework. For that, I thank the government of Moldova. The second big factor was funding. Moldova has had generous partners. Our cooperation framework is actually fully funded. An all-hands-on-deck approach with funding at regional and country levels, bolstered by a refugee response plan, resulted in a tad bit of coordination fatigue, I admit, but also a lot more opportunities for collaboration and collaborative behavior within the UN country team. Finally, and the third factor is the so-called people incentives factor. I've been absolutely blessed to work with a UN country team composed of some of the top leadership, top professionals of the agency funds and programs, and for that I thank all the agencies, funds and programs in Moldova. Going forward, ladies and gentlemen, excellencies, there are three issues I invite you to please keep in mind so that our UN country team in Moldova can continue to adapt and respond with the agility it has been able to. First, on the cooperation framework and the configuration that follows from it. The UN country team in Moldova has asked me, they've asked that I lead a meaningful sequencing of our joint analysis and our prioritization so that their specific planning instruments are genuinely derived and guided by our collective and mutually accountable decisions. There are reasons why the UNCT wants this of me, of the UN resident coordinator. It's because Moldova is on a path to EU accession. There's crowding in of European member states, of institutions, all happening in an extremely geopolitically volatile region. And that's why we've applied as the UN country team a very innovative future insights exercise to our positioning within Moldova. And for that, I thank the brilliant team at UNDP on foresight who have availed to us all their capacities to the entire UNCT. But based on that experience, I wish to posit to you, Excellencies, that configuration is not something that we do only within the UN development system, but it's rather vis-a-vis the broader partnership context. It's not a one-time exercise. It's a constant, reiterative process between the government who requests UN assistance and support, UN entity partners on one hand and myself on the other to ascertain whether we are indeed the correct actor to respond to the request and we have the adequate capacities to do so vis-a-vis other actors in the country. This, I believe, is the part of UN configuration which was in the spirit of the GA resolution, but perhaps could even be further reinforced. The second is funding. I urge all of Moldova's partners to pool their resources towards national programs, many of which are supported by the CF. One example is the refugee inclusion window in our MPTF, in our local trust fund in support of the national program for integration of foreigners. We need more of these to be able to ensure scale, adaptability, and responsiveness of our cooperation framework. Finally, on interoperability. Without prejudice, member states, on how you will decide to take the scope of the cooperation framework further, its authority further, please allow us, the team sitting on the ground, to capture the depth and rigor of agency-specific platforms in one interoperable digital platform. Mr. President, humor me one anecdote. I worked as a national program officer in my home country for more than 10 years. Nothing beats the capacity of a UN agency colleague managing his or her own programs in reporting, capturing the results of those activities. allow the UN system collectively at the country level to capture that depth and rigor. Excellencies, you've given us great resources for the resident coordinator system, and coordination is working. We hope to develop on those gains and for our cooperation framework going forward, which will reflect our government's ultimate UN partnership decisions. It's their decisions, but anchor us further in the national strategies and programs for achieving the global goals with the overarching goal to reduce poverty at its core. I thank you, and I thank the government of Moldova for the remarkable partnership. Thank you.